Hello, this is Dr. Stanley Lang, and welcome to this broadcast, which is on the topic, why prayer is important. And I was reminded of this topic today when I had a prayer time with two of my patients. And it reminded me of an event that happened more than 30 years ago with a patient that I was seeing. And he was one of the first patients that I had decided that I was going to offer to pray with at the end of the office visits. I had done this occasionally because of a feeling that it was important, but because of fear and being relatively introverted, I didn't do it very often. But then I had this kind of encouragement, I would say, encouragement moment from God that I felt that I was supposed to offer to pray for virtually every patient that I saw. Those that wanted prayer, I would pray with. Those that I did not, and that those that did not, I would not. And the idea was to sort of integrate this prayer moment at the end of the office visit, not to replace the office visit. And I want to explain a little bit what I've learned over the years. Now, the first time that I prayed with somebody who I didn't think would be receptive to the prayer, because he was sort of an older guy that looked like he was been through a lot of difficult things in life, and I sort of prejudged that he wouldn't be interested in prayer. But I had been this sense of encouragement that I should ask him for prayer if he wanted it, and he, to my surprise, agreed. And so as I started to pray for him after I dealt with his medical issue, and my main prayer was that he would experience God's love for him. And surprisingly, as I was praying for him, tears started coming down his face. And I was both shocked, but also amazed that this simple prayer would touch this person so deeply. And after that experience, I've been pretty consistent over the years in offering to pray with anybody that wants prayer. So when I see a new patient, I try to ascertain whether this is something they want to be part of their office visit, and they will give me a sense whether that's something they want or not. So I pretty much know when I see a patient for that visit whether they would like to have prayer as part of the office visit, and the vast majority of the patients that I see want that. Now, I believe I probably self-select patients that are interested in that. I wouldn't suggest that the vast majority of all patients want somebody to pray with them, but there are a lot of patients that do. And today I saw two patients that would fall into the category of the same kind of person that I was reminded of with this older gentleman more than 30 years ago. And it's so easy to prejudge people into thinking that this person isn't the kind of person that would want to be prayed with. Both of these are kind of, they're both laborers. They covered with dirt and grease and stuff like that, and they don't strike you as the caricature of a spiritually minded person. And the point is that there's no such thing. You can't figure that out from the appearance. There are some people that you would think would be, and they're not interested in prayer, and there's some people that you would think are not interested, and they're very interested in prayer. So you never really know without asking. Now, if you're in a situation where you have an opportunity to pray for people, then ask, because a lot of folks do want prayer. Now, there's three main things that I think are accomplished, and probably a lot of other things that aren't, that I'm not going to touch on here, that are also accomplished. But the first thing that is accomplished is that we know from research done a long time ago that prayer works. Now, so we don't know how it works. We know that God is somehow in the process, but research was done years ago that looked at people in the intensive care unit, and they assigned groups of people to pray for some people, and some people did not get prayer. And the people that got prayer, consistent prayer from off-site, they weren't in the ICU, people, they didn't even know the patient, didn't even know the patient, but groups of people that were assigned to pray for this particular person, for this particular need, those patients had fewer complication rates, faster recovery. And that research was done more than 30 years ago. This isn't something that is novel and new. It's been researched before, but it's not researched very much because you don't make money from selling prayers. But the first reason to pray for people is that it does make a difference. Somehow God does reach out across this space and time and touches people in some way. Now, the second reason is that I'm totally convinced that God wants each one of us to experience his love more deeply, 100% of the time. So I know that when I pray for people, I can pray in perfect faith that God wants this, at least for this person. He wants this person who is right before me to experience his deep love more than I can ever imagine. And so I know that I'm praying in his will. I don't have to doubt, might he not want this person to experience his love? I have 100% certainty that he wants this person to experience his love. And so I can pray in perfect faith that he wants this. I don't have the slightest doubt when I pray for somebody that God wants that person to experience love, his love, God's love more deeply. And the third thing that I think happens that I want to at least mention here is that it reminds the person of their own spiritual resources. A lot of people go through life without thinking about their spiritual resources. Life is busy. A lot of people really aren't that spiritually oriented, although they are interested in it and they appreciate it. But they are busy and life absorbs them into trials and problems and they don't think about it. So when you pray for somebody, it reminds them they have spiritual resources. They can pray. And if they experience God's love in that moment, they want to pray more. So I encourage you to, if you're somebody that can pray for other people, whether it's family members, friends, or even more professionally, to take advantage of the opportunity. It's a rare opportunity to connect with God and to bring the love of God to other people. And it blesses other people. I've seen this happen thousands of times over the last 30 plus years. And it can happen with you if you've not done it before, if you're afraid to try. I understand, but people are surprisingly very open to being asked, would you like me to pray for you? And most people who are not disinclined to the spiritual life, most people who are not atheists, who are not agnostic, most people are not into the occult, most everybody else is somewhat open to prayer. That's been my experience. And so the people that you're around, some of those folks would be open to you praying for them. And if somebody offers to pray for you, I encourage you to accept that prayer. The patients who reciprocate and pray for me after I've prayed for them, those are always very powerful moments for me. I experience the love of God, the refreshing love of God for that moment. It lasts through the day for me. So the context for all of this sharing is whole person health, health of body, mind, and spirit. Obviously, today we're focusing on the spiritual, but I believe that we can choose to be healthy in all three of these spheres. And when we choose to do so, we have the maximum chance of experiencing the health that God wants us to have and that is built into us as sort of our natural process. So I encourage you to pray for other people, encourage you to accept prayer when it's offered, and I encourage you to hope in the love that God has for you. I wish you well. God bless and have a great day.